live on OTT. Hi everybody, this is 9 First Warning. Meteorologist Brandon Spinner. We've got a severe thunderstorm warning that has been issued for parts of the tri-state. And you're seeing that right here on the screen for you. Chris, I'm ready for whenever you are, and we can get going. Can you turn on hand tracker for me? 3, 2. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner. We have our first severe thunderstorm warning issued of the day, part of this supercellular thunderstorm out into Rush County. This is heading into parts of Franklin, Union, and Fayette County, and it is continuing to move towards the east. This storm has had a tornado warning on it earlier, not currently with that, but the damaging wind threat with this as it makes its way in could be considerable. Several storms with this system have produced golf ball to baseball sized hail, as well as damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. Multiple confirmed tornadoes part of this system as well, as that severe thunderstorm warning has been issued. And as you see that on your screen, it's out till 5:45 this evening. And we also have a tornado watch, which includes the entire tri-state. That's out until 11 o'clock this evening. That thunderstorm moving just out of Rush County out towards the east. You see just to the north and west of Batesville. We're continuing to keep an eye on this threat across the tri-state this afternoon. And as it comes through, it'll bring that potential some damaging winds, large hail, as well as supercellular tornadoes. As we move through the rest of your afternoon today, we'll continue to keep you up to date on this. We are going to sign off real quick as we get our computer system back up to speed and jump on with more severe weather coverage as the afternoon permits. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your evening. Hi everybody, this is 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner. We are keeping an eye on this severe weather coming through as we are watching this system come through. We'll continue to keep an eye on how strong these storms are coming in. This is out into southeastern portions of Indiana right now. Indiana has had at least 2 confirmed tornadoes with areas of damage across much of the tri-state, or not much of the tri-state, excuse me, much of southern portions of Indiana. And as you see, this severe thunderstorm warning is in parts of Union as well as Franklin and Fayette County. Just working on our hand tracker just to make sure that this is working, and indeed it is. So there's a look at that severe thunderstorm warning out for Rush County. We've got this also out for Union, Fayette, and Franklin counties. And this is all part of a line of thunderstorms that stretches all the way down towards southern portions of Indiana. Multiple tornadoes have already been confirmed out of this wave. And again, we've got a tornado watch in effect. I'm trying to get that off the screen for you. Sometimes these just a little finicky.
Hey, Brandon, real quick,
yep.
I just want to read what the National Weather Service has for this severe thunderstorm warning. They're saying 70 mile per hour winds, which was higher than the lowest they usually issue these for, and hail 1.25 inches in diameter. So that's something we saw coming out of central Indiana. Baseball-sized hail is what they were getting with this. So it's not just a tornado type event that we'll be keeping a very close eye on. It's
right.
also the winds, it's also the hail, and that's obviously going to cause a lot of damage.
Yeah, we are currently live right here, camera. This is Cameron Harden. I am Brandon Spinner. We're giving you severe weather coverage right now on Facebook, our streaming channels, but we will be on air as well through the afternoon. We are standing by. Chris, can you hear me in back right now? Okay, cool. I think we're going to need to jump on. You said 70 mile per hour winds. Is this considerable warning? Is that? It is. Okay.
Yes,
so we need to jump on, Chris. So we are live on Facebook. Let's punch up links 1. Cameron, join in with any information that you have that comes in with these storms. But Chris, I'm ready to go back on air whenever you are. In the back. Standing by. 3, 2. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Again, I'm 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner on this 9 First Warning weather alert day. This severe thunderstorm warning has the wording in it considerable, meaning that damage has the potential to be stronger than the average severe thunderstorm. This has potential of 70 mile per hour winds and what was it, 1.25 inch hail, or up to golf ball size hail, I believe? Inch and a quarter.
One issued 10 minutes beforehand just to the west at 1.75 inches.
Okay, so that has been anywhere between ping pong ball to golf ball size hail as this storm is moving towards the east. Now, we're going to use the Indianapolis Weather Service's radar just to kind of look within this storm. You can see the hail swath. That means that the radar itself was picking up on large hail as this has been moving a pretty consistent path, and that's moving down to the south and east. So if you're in Brooksville, this is going to be heading towards your area within the next half an hour or so, I would assume, as this is moving out towards the east, roughly 40 miles per hour. Severe thunderstorm warning is out for Union, Franklin, and Fayette counties, and we are all part of this severe thunderstorm threat through the rest of your evening with a tornado watch, which is currently in effect through 11 o'clock. As far as the velocity on this storm, as we dive in, the center of this storm is still about 20 miles towards the west of the WCPO 9 viewing area, but we are currently in a severe thunderstorm warning out for parts of Fayette, Union, and Franklin County. This has already produced at least one tornado south of Indianapolis. Cameron, you mentioned?
Yeah, we had two different confirmed tornadoes, one just south of Indianapolis in Johnson County, where you see that green box there near Greenwood, and then further off to the south as well, there was another confirmed tornado.
And our atmosphere is only starting to ramp up in intensity out there as we're speaking. We've got a lot more sunshine here in the tri-state as we pop up regular radar. What you'll notice is that we haven't had any real contamination here in the tri-state since some early morning rainfall. Now, what might be saving us is we've got some showers out ahead of this main wave, which could start to eat away at what we call that instability and that of convective air. But right now, we're building up that heat, we're building up that humidity, and we're starting to see what we call the low-level jet stream kick up. And what that's going to do is likely help turn these storms as they continue. So we're currently online on WCPO.com streaming as well as our Facebook page. We'll return you back to regular scheduled programming, but you can continue your coverage on our streaming channel, on our website, and on Facebook, and we'll be back on air throughout the rest of your afternoon and evening as it's necessary. And staying with you on Facebook and our severe weather coverage on, I believe we're on YouTube as well as our streaming channels, WCPO.com. Here's the thing, folks. Right now you have power. There's a good chance you may not have power within the next couple of hours. So make sure you're starting to charge your devices if you haven't done that already. And also have multiple ways to find and get your warnings. We'll be streaming, but once you need to get to your safe space, you can take us on your phone like you are watching right now, or maybe on your laptop. You're probably going to lose internet along with that power outage. So keep that in mind as we go through the next couple of hours. These storms have been extremely strong, if not considerably strong towards our west. The good news, as I mentioned on air, is this area out towards Batesville where we're seeing the lighter showers. That is where we are seeing that rain out ahead of the main line. So what that could be doing is eating away at that precipitation, or at least eating away at the energy in the thunderstorm's atmosphere. Pop up the lightning counter if you could. So you see that storm out towards Shelbyville, just east of Shelbyville, 100 total strikes of lightning within the last 15 minutes. And the storms down to the south and west of there, those are by far the strongest storms out of the system. And we'll watch these as well. But the good news is that should pass towards our south and west. However, this storm towards Bloomington, just to the south and east of Bloomington, that is one that may start to clip areas into southern portions of Ripley, Dearborn, Ohio, Switzerland counties, and then out towards Carroll and Gallatin County. I would say that's probably moving. They've been at a pace of about 45 miles per hour throughout the day today. So we'll do that with the speed. And how long will it be? Let's put speed at 45 miles per hour. Let's put that length up to 100 miles per hour, or 100 miles, excuse me. So that'll help those of you out. Let's change the first city on this one to Scottsburg. Well, we'll go with Owenton. So there we go. So Owenton, about 6:45. So that's still about an hour and a half for you on that storm into south central portions of Indiana. But Vivi, you're probably looking at 6 o'clock, if not a little sooner. And that's if this is going at 45 miles per hour. As the atmosphere starts to churn, I wouldn't be surprised if that low-level jet stream actually kicks up these storms to a quicker speed. You notice the good news is that line of thunderstorms towards our south and west is towards our south and west, but also this rain shower activity out ahead of this should eat up a little bit of what we call atmospheric instability. What are our current temperatures at right now as I pop those on the map? So this is a look at your current temps. We're looking at 85 out ahead of this, but within those clouds, 87. But look at the cooler temperatures where it's already rained. So that rain could likely cool things down and eat away as it comes through. But we still have a whole lot of untouched air, as we like to call it, out ahead in these tornado watches. Once these temperatures make it to 85 to 87 degrees, that's what really starts to prime our atmosphere for what we call convection.
Especially when it's this humid as well.
Oh yeah, and I'm trying to find the dew points, and there we go. Yeah, that's not good. When you start to see dew points into the low 70s, that's that air you can wear, or I like to call it a second shirt alert, because you go outside for any length of time and you're already drenched, and it's that air that's going to feed into these storms on what is already becoming a very scary day out in the central portions of Indiana, and that's only moving east here into the tri-state. Currently, we have one severe thunderstorm warning that is out for parts of Franklin, Fayette, and Union counties. Again, Brookville, Blooming Grove, and Connorsville. Here's another thing that you know that there's hail on it. We're starting to get this V, and there's a V within the storm. So what's happening is the radar is actually not getting this part of the storm because it's coming through this hail core right there. So that's another indication that we are seeing hail within this storm. As we throw the hail swath on, that is moving towards the east, roughly 36 miles per hour. So hail size right now, by radar standards, say 3/4 of an inch. So that would be good news because it is starting to weaken with that regard. But this storm has had a lot of shear on it as it's come through parts of southern Indianapolis out towards Greenwood, Shelbyville, and just east of there off towards Richland right now. As we're looking at shear rate, there's some good news right there. Is those rates popping up on your screen? Those are not too significant. There's weak shear there, meaning there's rotation, but I bet you if we scan that back, even in the last 15 minutes, those were a little more menacing. Yep, even the scan before that. So we'll watch several different factors, and that's what's cool about Doppler radar being dual pole right now, and what we didn't have 15, 20 years ago, we've got the better capabilities of right now, and that's how we're able to look within these storms. But right now, a severe thunderstorm warning out for parts of Union, Fayette, and Franklin counties. That's in effect for another 27 minutes. So what are you seeing, Cam?
You know, it's interesting sometimes when you get these cold fronts that move through. From Elwood that you see on your screen all the way down to Bedford, you had this strong line of showers and storms, and at one point had 5, maybe 6 different tornado warnings in Indiana. And it got that bowing action, and sometimes when you get that rain out in front, like you were mentioning, it loses a little bit of its steam, and then you have some of those storms that are north just go straight east, and some of those storms that are working a little bit to the east-southeast, they just kind of dive bomb south, and that's almost what happened. Because all these storms, it was going just from Terre Haute straight over to Bloomington, and then as soon as it got to central Indiana, half of them started to go south, and you can see a pretty good picture of that. All those tornado warnings, and then kind of just fizzles in the central portion of it as it kind of splits a little bit.
Yeah, a lot of that energy being eaten up down to the south and west. That is the Indianapolis radar. I want to show you our WCPO 9 live Doppler radar, which is going to give you a great look at some of these storms as they come into Cincinnati, showing that as we show the reflectivity back and forth, this is why it's great to have multiple different radars to use. That's ours. There's Indianapolis's, and this is from the National Weather Service out towards Wilmington. And they're all pretty consistent with this rainfall out ahead of it. So be thankful that we have this rain right now out ahead of these storms, because if that continues, it'll continue to eat away at our atmosphere. But we'll have to watch how that all develops over the next couple of hours. No lightning in our vicinity, or at least in our area yet, but there's one lightning bolt in the vicinity of our area, just to the west of Franklin County. Out into southern portions of Fayette and Union, you're going to probably hear the rumbles, but that one lightning strike is just out to the southeast of Richland. So Laurel, you're probably starting to hear some heavier rainfall. Metamora is heading towards you. Blooming Grove, Brookville, as well as northern parts of Fayette County. You're probably going to get hit with the hardest part of the storm. But even now, like, look at the reflectivity comparatively to even 20 minutes ago. Look at how dark and deep the purples were as I get rid of the lightning.
You remember that purple box indicates a confirmed tornado that was on the ground.
So the storm has history of producing that tornado, but even just look at the structure weakening as it's moved past. But look towards Shelbyville. There's already back building, and that's starting to strengthen. So the atmosphere is recovering enough to create some storms on the back side of these storms already, and they're probably putting out their own boundaries. So there's a lot at play in an event like this. There's a lot of criteria that needs to be met in order to make a severe thunderstorm warning, but we're going to have all the ingredients for several of these to be popping up across the tri-state through the afternoon. Again, that tornado watch is in effect through 11 o'clock. I do want to throw up a couple of these things. There's a look at your Super 9 day. As you're looking at on your screen. But here's the timeline as far as storms through the rest of your evening. Here's what we can expect through the rest of your evening. Already after 5 o'clock, and that's right in line with our timeline for southeast Indiana. Probably opening up near Cincinnati right at the top of our 6 o'clock show, and then southwestern Ohio around 7 o'clock. And this all comes to an end roughly around 10 to 11 o'clock. It may linger a little longer depending on what we see on the backside of things. As far as what's going on this evening, we've got a lot of these ingredients that are all going to be coming together and leading to most likely a severe thunderstorm threat. I want to show you future radar after I give you that tornado watch. There's a look at the tornado watch in effect through 11 o'clock this evening. Our threats this evening are all in the high or extreme categories. Wind and hail. We bumped up to extreme because when you're talking 2 to 3 inch size hail, that's not only going to create damage, but that could also lead to the loss of life. And also our tornado threat, as we've been bumped up into the Storm Prediction Center's 10%, and I believe we're in an area that they call hatched, which would mean that there's a more or a greater likelihood that within any given point we could have a strong tornado threat, not just a tornado threat. And when we say a strong tornado threat, that is called EF2 or greater. And we are in that hatching mark. So the Storm Prediction Center has us right in the bullseye. Hopefully these storms which we're watching come through right now start to weaken things a little bit.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is it's probably still sunny over downtown, and I just looked, the Reds game just finished. So if you have friends or family who were at the Reds game and maybe that they're planning on going to get dinner, a drink or something like that, might want to text them and just be like, hey, I know it's sunny, I know you just had a great day. Might want to come back a little early because you got another sold-out crowd out there at Great American Ballpark. Another fun game. Try to get them back as quickly as possible because the last thing you want is for them to get stuck out, not even in a car, just walking around downtown. So
right. So here's future view. This is one computer model showing that these storms will continue to blow up. Notice the motion on this. It's more northeasterly with some of these stronger cells, and I think that's because we're going to have what that's called the low-level jet stream kick up. And what that is in the, we'll say a mile up off the surface, maybe even a little less than then, we have a stronger jet stream kick up. And what that does is it actually takes the energy within these storms and push it to the north and the east. So as that happens, we start to see these storms, the energy itself maybe shift to the north and east. That could put us right in line.
And Brandon, you guys at home can't see this, but this is the latest model data that's coming in right now. And you mentioned that back building on that storm up to the northeast. The latest model run has that exact same thing happening, it looks like.
Yeah, it looks like
fizzle out, and then they build back on the back end and give us that next threat in about 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, so we are just at the beginning of this on this 9 First Warning Weather Alert Day. I am 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner alongside meteorologist Cameron Harden. We are doing coverage today to keep you ahead and keep you safe of these storms. There's a look at that one severe thunderstorm out into southeastern Indiana. This is out for parts of Fayette, Franklin, and Union counties. till 5:45. So we've got another 20 minutes on that. The good news is as I loop this radar, what you're noticing is it has fizzled quite a bit. I don't think I have looping. Can you change the timing to 30 minutes on that for me? Please and thank you. This is why we work as a team. There you go. Now we're looping. Even good, better news. Look at that. It has continued to kind of fade and fizzle with these showers out ahead of it, as I predicted, right? I was saying that these are eating away at the atmosphere, and as that storm comes into it, it's basically like all the gasoline for a fire has been taken away, and that's why this storm continues to fade and fizzle. And if I threw on the lightning data, you're going to notice that those strikes really start to drop. Wow. Rapid de-enhancement, a rapid fall apart of this thunderstorm as it's made its way towards the east. That's a good sign for those of you in the northern portions of Franklin, Union, and Fayette County, but look off toward Shelbyville. This storm is starting to develop as well, and that's what Cameron was just talking about, is while this first wave may start to die down, computer models are starting to show the development potential of more storms out towards the west of that, and as that actually happens, that may likely build into a stronger threat for us as we get closer to 6:30, 7 o'clock. Now, the main wave of severe thunderstorms and severe weather is out in the southern portions of Indiana, out towards the north of Louisville. So if you have any friends or family down in Louisville or north of Louisville, you're going to want to reach out to them as well. That was a great thought by Cameron for those of you with friends and family leaving the Reds game, but also Louisville is a pretty popular destination to head out of town to go visit, especially with College World Series. A lot of people may be visiting the Louisville Slugger Museum. I know the World Series is out in Omaha, but Louisville, a big place to get to, I don't even know if the Bats are in town either, but that's another place to go to. They're going to get hit with some nasty severe weather there soon, and severe thunderstorm warnings out that way. We've had considerable damage within these storms, and as you see that severe thunderstorm warning flashing, that's telling you that there was significant damage within that storm. And wow, a lot going on out towards our south and west. Has the National Weather Service said anything other than the watch that we're in place with, Cameron?
Going through the chat board right now. The latest update was that severe thunderstorm warning. They're continuing it with 60-mile-per-hour winds, so no longer the 70-mile-per-hour winds, which is what started that, so indicating that it is dropping in strength, which is nice. They're waiting on more data to come in. The latest thing they have is storms tracking east central Indiana and southeast have undergone a bit of weakening. Therefore, yep. So yeah, just kind of exactly what we've been saying.
Yeah. So there's a look at the velocity within inside these storms. That's going.
They just canceled the severe thunderstorm warning for Fayette and Franklin.
Oh, cool. So they just canceled that warning. We're going to stick with you here on WCPO9.com as well as our WCPO.com as well as our Facebook page, WCPO9. We are going to mute our mics here, and we're going to leave the radar up to stream for however long that needs to be. We're going to get ready for our 6 o'clock show if we have that. And in that case, we will be bouncing back in and out with any more information that you may need. But just know we are in that tornado watch through 11 o'clock this evening. No longer any warnings out for the tri-state at this point, but we are in that watch, and we're watching these storms closely out in the south central portions of Indiana. Real quick, before I let you go, notice this storm just to the south of Indianapolis. While most of these storms are projected to move towards the east, this cell that's developing on the backside northeast of Bloomington is actually moving north-northeast. So that means that there's a lot of rotation and shear in our atmosphere, and that only plays up as we go throughout the next 2 hours with the low level jet stream kicking up, and we'll have that heat and humidity out ahead of this line of storms. So once again, Cameron and I, we're going to mute our mics. If you have any questions, drop those out in our Facebook feed. I believe we're streaming on YouTube as well, and I think we can get some questions there. So if you have any questions, drop those there. We'll be back in and out with more information as this afternoon goes on, but we're going to keep this radar loop live for you just so you can see what's going on. All right, everybody, 9 First Warning meteorologist Brandon Spinner along with meteorologist Cameron Harden. We were just showing you that severe thunderstorm that was moving into southeastern Indiana. Look how fast it fell apart and really how fast the showers are falling apart out ahead of it. But there's more activity starting to develop out to the south and east of Indianapolis. And that's the area we need to be worried about and need to start watching, because as you're noticing within this last 30-minute loop, we're starting to see these storms towards our south and west gain speed, but also these storms to the south and east of Indianapolis. And as that continues to build, what we're going to have to watch for is that potential that these storms, as they move into the tri-state, they reorganize and start to develop. Right now, this path would be towards VV at about 6:15 to 6:30. This still has a tornado warning out on it. It is not in our viewing area. It comes right up to the Ripley County line, but that storm's moving south-southeast, so out towards Switzerland, Ohio counties, and then Carrollton as well as Gallatin counties. We're going to be in the path of that. Then that moves into northern portions of Kentucky. However, it's this development. Look how quickly we've cleared most of this rain fizzling through southwestern Ohio as that's rain come through the tri-state. We're streaming live right now on Facebook on our weather streaming channel, as well as any streaming channel you can find WCPO at. Roku, Amazon Fire Stick devices, as well as Apple TV devices. And we'll continue this throughout your afternoon and evening, and we'll be jumping in on air throughout the afternoon and evening as well, as is necessary. What you do notice is we have that red out there. That is a tornado watch in effect for the entire tri-state through 11 o'clock this evening. And that's because we are expecting these storms to redevelop, and we're already starting to see that really come to fruition towards our west. So you're no longer in any severe thunderstorm warnings out into parts of southeast Indiana, but look how quickly those counties cleared out. It's already likely sunny in many of these areas, warming up, and that heat and humidity enough to get these storms to really feed off of them. And what you're seeing is we're also seeing what we call lift in the atmosphere from these original storms. As that happens, that rain comes down, right? And as that happens, it puts out boundaries, and those boundaries are invisible to the eye, but that's what helps move that air upward. You get a boundary or two to clash, and not only does that create a stronger storm, but it can also create quick spin-ups, and that develops tornadoes. So we'll watch where these storms develop and how close to proximity they may be to these outflow boundaries or storm boundaries that are put out earlier this morning, and also currently from these storms across the southeastern portions of Indiana. So Ripley County, you're likely hearing rumbles of thunder. You're not in any warning. You're in a watch. And you may have heard some sirens go off earlier, and that was because of the tornado watch. We do not have any current tornado warnings in effect, any severe thunderstorm warnings in effect. But there are some strong storms out there. Look at the amount of lightning on that thunderstorm just to the south of Columbus, southwest of Versailles. You're probably hearing it in Versailles, to be honest. You're just not seeing most of that activity quite yet. Most of that is out to the south and west. So, what, got anything for me, Cam?
No, I was making sure our Facebook live stream was good to go. I'm assuming you mentioned the tornado warning that's getting closer there to Ripley County.
Yeah, look at all the lightning down to the south and west of that storm, even towards Salem, Indiana, towards Bedford. Bedford's been dealing with storms pretty much all hour, I'd say. I forgot to turn the interaction panel on, so 1 second. There we go. So what we're watching is a lot of electricity within these storms down to the south and west. What's starting to happen is in the low levels of the atmosphere, we have that jet stream kicking up. And as that comes through, it's going to be pushing that atmospheric air that way. And that's what we're already starting to see with these storms near Indianapolis. Notice they have more of a path to the east-northeast, while these storms are more southeasterly. But even as they are southeasterly, they were more southeast, and they've started to bend more easterly with their path. And that is what's going to be something to watch for as we move through the next hour or so here into the tri-state, because these storms are moving into an environment that hasn't been touched by rain since earlier this morning. Cameron was on air earlier this morning talking to you about the rain earlier in the day. I had some out in the northern Kentucky as I woke up, and that lasted until about 10:30. And we're going to continue to watch how that interacts with our atmosphere. Right now, we've got some lighter showers, not even any lightning or thunder out in the southeastern portions of Indiana or northern Kentucky. Some dark skies, certainly. I was looking at our Carew Tower camera, and you can see the rain off into the distance. But as we loop this, what you'll notice is even most of that rain, it's fading as it's getting towards downtown. Now, there's certainly some showers there, and if you have any friends and family out in the Panagiri Festival, you're going to want to let them know that not only are we seeing some showers, but there's better chances that storms on the backside of this through the next couple of hours. But even look towards Shelbyville, within the last 15 minutes or so, those lightning strikes have really jumped from not even being a storm at all 15 minutes ago to rapidly developing. And that is what's concerning as we go through the afternoon and through the rest of your evening, is because that first wave, it's done, but it's left out a lot of humidity, a lot of thunderstorm fuel still out there, and it started to clear things up. And that clearing and that sunshine is what helps those storms really start to blossom and develop again. And that's why this cluster just to the southeast of Indy is going to be one to watch, and we're starting to see back building towards the west, out towards Bloomington as well, because those storms are putting out so much energy, and those boundaries from these storms are just helping that air lift up. It doesn't take much on a day like today to get that air moving upward, and we've already seen that happen multiple times towards the west.
I saw on our Facebook, we just updated a new Facebook post. On the old one, people were asking, is this all we're going to get? Just the quick little rain showers that we're seeing, or is the severe threat gone because we're not seeing the tornado warnings out to the west? I think it's important to reiterate that, like Brendan has been mentioning, we have a tornado watch in effect until 11 p.m. for the entire tri-state. That's the timing, correct? 11 p.m. So we've still got about 2-3 hours left of seeing what develops with this in the prime heating of the day, because it's still hot, it's still humid, and that's why you're getting all that back building as well, is because even though you were rain cooled briefly south of Indianapolis, they heated up again so quickly as soon as that sun came back out that they are getting all those clusters of storms. The same place that literally where that green box is, they had a tornado at. That green box isn't anything to do with the tornado, it's the flooding concern now, but just showing you there on the map. And usually when that happens, you kind of clear out and you're done for the day because it sucks up all the energy. Not the case right now with this storm. That's how much of a punch it's packing. Now it's good for us that we got this first line of showers because it is limiting, at least as of right now, severe threat. But don't let your guard down, because all those clusters from Connersville down to Versailles eventually, that is going to continue.
And even look to the backside of that storm just south of Columbus, starting to see a cell build there as well. And if we put that in motion, it probably moves towards the Batesville, Brookville, and even north and west portions of Hamilton County later on. Now, we're in the development portion of these storms. This is what we call nowcasting rather than forecasting, because it's all in the now and it's not really out into the future. We have to take what we're seeing on radar, analyze it, and give you the best information possible out of all of this. And the good news and the best information for us is that the worst of the severe weather is out of our area. But look, they just extended a tornado warning. This is coming from the National Weather Service out in Louisville, and this is going to be out for Jefferson County in Indiana. Now that butts right up to the western portions of our viewing area out towards Carroll County, as well as into Ohio, Switzerland, and Ripley counties. As this continues southeastward, that would put this in the path of places like Vevey and Carrollton. And this tornado warning has been all part of the same supercell, which has been chugging east. Look at the amount of lightning strikes just within this storm alone. This map tells you the number, whatever's on the screen. 355 lightning strikes within the last 15 minutes. And this storm has continued to show signs of rotation, and that's why they have that tornado warning out for it. This is out towards DuPont and Lovett, southwest of North Vernon. And there's a lot of hail likely with this as well. When you start to see the spikes of lightning and you start to see the pinks popping up on the map, I wouldn't be surprised if they're seeing potentially golf ball sized hail within this storm. If we pop up that skit, it's going to tell you hail severe. Yeah, look at the hail size being picked up on radar with this storm. 2¼ of an inch. So that is just under baseball size. Baseball size is 2 3/4 of an inch. So this is between the size of a lime and a baseball. That's how big a lot of this hail could potentially be. And the radar itself is showing that there's some upper level rotation. That's what this disk is right here on the map as well. It's telling you that the storm itself has strong rotations in the upper levels as well as the lower levels, and that's what's projecting this towards the south and the east. As I take the lightning off so you can get a better look within this storm, you're seeing the worst of this is towards the southwest of Lovett out into southeastern Indiana. Again, this is not an interviewing area, but we're streaming live to give you the heads up that this is heading our way. It gives you plenty of time if you are out in the southeastern portions of, or southwestern portions, excuse me, of the tri-state. We're talking near VV, we're talking near Carrollton, that this is actually headed your direction, and the speed on this, I'm going to assume, is what, 40 miles per hour, Cam?
The National Weather Service says it's moving 10 miles southeast of Seymour, moving east at 30 miles per hour.
Okay, 30 miles per hour. So that's not quite yet into our area, but if you know anybody out in Lancaster, that's 6:04, so that's 15 minutes. So if that's the distance for 15 minutes, you could say probably VV around 6:15, 6:30. So that's still about 40 minutes away, but we're giving you that 9-1 warning that within 40 minutes, you could potentially be dealing with a tornadic thunderstorm coming through as this cell is moving to the east-southeast. This has passed through Seymour. There were reports on Twitter that there was an actual tornado. I didn't see that the polygon turned purple, so the National Weather Service hasn't confirmed it, but there were some reports on Twitter and on social media showing a tornado that had actually developed. As far as everybody else to the north of there, we're starting to see these storms develop towards northern portions of Franklin County. That wasn't even there to that extent even 5 minutes ago. Look at the lightning building on the backside of this cell. Remember, 20 minutes ago when we were live on air, there was not a thunderstorm out here. It started to develop and it started to strengthen quickly. And these, I think I got rid of the counter.
And I'll go ahead and take over real quick for you. You were mentioning, this is no longer forecasting, this is now casting with everything. And the National Weather Service says they do a few times each day. They just got their data back from their 4 p.m. weather balloon launch. This is what they do to see kind of what's going on in the environment and up in the atmosphere. And they said that it actually came back a little more stable, the data that they were getting, than they were anticipating. That being said, the additional storms that we've been talking about just out to the west that are developing in central Indiana kind of contradicts what they were getting in their weather balloons. So just the definition of nowcasting, it's so hard to forecast what's already happening with these storms and what's going to happen because the atmosphere is so unstable right now.
We are about 8 minutes away from WCPO 9 News at 6. You can join ourselves on air as well as online. I believe our Facebook Live is probably going to come to an end at that point, but you can bet that we will fire up another one and we'll be streaming through the rest of your evening. I would guess that by 6:30, 7 o'clock, we're going to have some very strong storms, if not severe thunderstorms, across much of the tri-state, developing and strengthening at times. As this storm just to the southwest of Versailles, that has been the strongest storm that has been sustained near us for the last half an hour or so, and I believe that even developed a tornado just about a half an hour ago. So the atmosphere is primed. It is perfect for severe weather development and tornadic development, and that is what we'll watch as we go through the rest of your evening. So I think we're going to end this live video